It was my birthday today, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I actually felt something. A little flicker of excitement. My wife, Jenna, told me a few days ago she wanted to make this year feel special. That word, special, stuck with me. Because honestly, that's never been her thing. Planning stuff, remembering dates, making a big deal about anything that wasn't about her? That's usually my role. I'm the guy who remembers anniversaries, makes the dinner reservations, picks out the gifts she likes. So when she said she was hosting a party, at our house, no less, I was caught off guard. She went all out too. Blue and gold streamers hanging from the ceiling, balloons tied to the chairs, even one of those little photo corners with props. She invited some of my coworkers, her friends, and even her boss, Kyle, a guy I've only seen a few times, but always seemed overly familiar with her. The place was packed, buzzing with voices and music. People were laughing, dancing, sipping drinks. And for a second, just a second, I let myself believe maybe this meant something. Maybe after all this time of me carrying the weight, of being the reliable one, she was finally starting to see me. Not as the handyman or the bill payer, but as her husband. Someone who mattered. I was in the middle of a conversation with my buddy James from work when Jenna clapped her hands and called for everyone's attention. "Time for the cake," she sang out with this bright, over-the-top cheeriness. She disappeared into the kitchen, and my stomach did this little flutter. I mean, she's never baked me a cake. Ever. This felt like a real gesture, and for a second, I felt honored. Then she walked back out, smiling like she was the star of the show, carrying this big white cake with candles burning bright. Everyone pulled out their phones, ready to snap the moment. I leaned forward, ready to blow out the candles, smile, maybe make a joke. That's when I saw it. Frosted across the top, in bold blue icing. "Congratulations, loser." Laughter exploded around the room. Her friends doubled over, wheezing with amusement. Kyle, her boss, actually snorted his drink. Jenna stood there smirking like she just delivered a killer punchline on a talk show. And me? I just froze. I stared at the cake, my mouth dry, heat crawling up my neck like I'd been slapped in front of a crowd. Because I had been. It wasn't a prank we were all in on. It was a joke at my expense, and I was the punchline. I didn't laugh. Didn't blink. Everything around me started to sound far away, like I was underwater. I could see their faces through the haze, hear the sounds of their mockery in the background. But I stayed still. Then I stood. Slowly. Deliberately. The room quieted just a bit, that awkward hush that follows something going just a little too far. Eyes turned toward me, curious, half-drunk, still expecting me to play along. I lifted my glass, the same one I'd barely touched all night, and cleared my throat. "I'd like to make a toast," I said, voice steadier than I felt. People leaned in, a few with lingering grins, others starting to look unsure. "To all of you," I said, "for being exactly the people I always suspected you were." A few faces tightened. Jenna's smirk flickered. "And to this party, you really put thought into it. I'll never forget it." Now she was narrowing her eyes, trying to figure out whether I was serious. I was. "I've spent years trying to show up, be steady, be enough," I continued. "And in one moment, with one cake, you showed me what I really am to you." I set my glass down gently on the table. A soft clink in a room full of silence. Then I turned and walked out. Through the decorations, past the half-eaten snacks, straight out the front door. Nobody followed me. Nobody tried to stop me. The cool air hit my face as I stepped outside. My hands were shaking, not from the cold, but from this strange mix of fury and clarity. I had been breaking my back to keep that marriage afloat, thinking if I just held it together long enough, Jenna would see me. But that cake. That was the truth, written in frosting. She didn't respect me. Not as a man, not as a partner. Hell, not even as a person. And that boss of hers, Kyle? The way he laughed the hardest, the way Jenna looked at him, it wasn't just an awkward work relationship. No. That cake wasn't a one-off joke. It was the culmination of something deeper. Something dirtier. I wasn't just being laughed at, I was being replaced. Because, yeah, Jenna had a lover. And looking back now, it all makes sense. The way she lit up when he called, the late nights she explained away as meetings, the emotional distance. She humiliated me like that because she didn't fear losing me. She already had someone else. I got in my car, stared at the house. My house, the place I had poured my heart into for a decade. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just drove. I didn't know where I was going, only that it had to be far from there. But I knew one thing, more than anything else. I was done. Done being the joke. Done being the fallback. Done being the husband who gets thrown under the bus for a punchline. Whatever happens next, it's on my terms. I settled into that quiet apartment and, for the first time in years, I wasn't strategizing how to patch things up with Jenna. I wasn't running scenarios in my head about how to make her happy, or rehearsing what I could say to smooth things over. I was just thinking about me. About how I'd let myself become this guy, the one who takes the emotional punches and just smiles through it. The one people joke about behind his back. Sitting in that parking lot, engine off, neon lights buzzing overhead, I made a decision. I wasn't going back. Not to her. Not to that life. She wanted to treat me like a joke? Fine. But she was about to see what happens when the so-called loser stops playing the game on her terms. 2 weeks passed since I walked out of that disaster of a birthday party, and I hadn't responded to a single text or call from Jenna. Not one. She tried. Oh, she tried hard. My voicemail filled up quickly with her voice, ranging from casual to frantic. At first it was light. Hey, where'd you go? Call me back. That kind of thing. But soon, the messages got sharper, more desperate, stumbling over words like she was losing control. I stopped listening after the first few. Didn't care what she had to say. Then her best friend, Rachel, got involved. She left this high-pitched, bossy voicemail. You're blowing this way out of proportion. Just talk to her already. Even Jenna's mom called, and she's never liked me. Always made it clear she thought her daughter could have done better. Her message was full of guilt-tripping nonsense. You're tearing the family apart. You should be ashamed for abandoning your wife. I deleted it halfway through. They can all talk themselves into a frenzy for all I care. I wasn't answering. I didn't just sit around sulking, though. The very next day after the party, I found a short-term apartment across town. Nothing glamorous. A bed, a couch, a kitchen I barely used. I packed a small bag, grabbed my laptop, and left. Even had my mail forwarded to a P.O. box so Jenna wouldn't know where I was. I didn't leave a note. Why should I? She said it all with that cake. So I said what I needed to, with silence. I kept going to work, showing up on time, keeping my head down. People at the office noticed something was different. My manager, Dave, pulled me aside one afternoon and said, "You good, man? You seem quieter. But lighter, too." I shrugged it off. "I'm fine." He didn't press. What was I supposed to say? My wife made me the butt of a public joke and I walked out of my own birthday party? Yeah. Not ready to share that. Let them wonder. Honestly, that part was kind of satisfying, knowing they were curious but I wasn't giving them anything. The first few days were weird, sure. I kept waiting for the guilt to hit, like I'd abandoned my duty. I've spent so long being the fixer, patching up fights, taking care of the house, smoothing over her stress, that disappearing felt wrong. At first. But then I'd wake up in that quiet little place, no one nagging me, no eye rolls over breakfast, and I'd think, this is peace. I threw myself into work. I've always been decent at my job, data analysis, nothing flashy, but lately I'd been sharper. Noticed things others missed. Dave even said a report I handed in was some of my best work yet. I didn't tell him why. Because for once, I wasn't distracted. No wife to race home to. No emotional landmines waiting when I walked through the door. Just me. My space. My time. Then, on day 14, things shifted. Jenna's voicemails changed. Less annoyed, more desperate. I played one just to hear the tone. Her voice cracked. "Please. I need to talk to you. It's important." Another one, "You can't keep doing this. We have to figure this out." She sounded like she was barely holding it together. And for the first time in forever, she was the one spiraling. I just sat there, phone in hand, listening. And I didn't feel bad. Not even a little. I'd spent years jumping to fix things when she snapped. And now she was scrambling. Let her. Rachel called again too, and this time she wasn't yelling. Her voice was low, almost pleading. You really need to talk to her. It's not just about the party anymore. I didn't return the call. I didn't owe them a damn thing. Not after what they did. But I started to wonder, what the hell is really going on? This wasn't just panic because I walked out. It felt like something more. Jenna had never acted this desperate before, not even during our biggest fights. This was fear. Genuine fear. I laid back on the couch, staring at the ceiling, letting my mind work through it. 2 weeks of silence, and suddenly they're acting like it's life or death. Sure, I could have called her. Let her explain. Let her feed me some half-baked apology and say I overreacted. But I didn't want that. I've given her everything. Time, money, patience, and she gave me a cake calling me a loser. I wasn't playing that game anymore. Let her panic. I'm not her safety net now. I grabbed a beer, sat by the window, and watched the streetlights come on. My phone buzzed again. Another message. Probably her. I didn't check. Instead, I took a slow sip and soaked in the silence. For once, I wasn't bracing for her next move. I was making mine. Whatever had her so rattled? I'd find out eventually. But it would be on my terms. Not hers. Day 15, and my phone was basically a buzzing brick. Jenna's name flashed over and over. Voicemail after voicemail. Dozens, maybe more. I stopped listening days ago. Every message was some new version of, "It was a misunderstanding," or, "You're overreacting." I could hear her trying to hold it together, voice tight like she was forcing the words out. One message ended with her just breathing. Then a whisper, "Please call me back. We need to talk." I didn't. What does she expect me to say? Sorry, I didn't laugh when you humiliated me? No. I'm not the one who owes anyone an explanation. She can stew in the wreckage of what she created. Then, this morning, I got a text. Not from her, from Rachel. It said, "You need to fix this. Before it's too late." Fix what? That question's been spinning in my head all day. I'm at my desk at work, pretending to stare at spreadsheets, but all I see are those 5 words. Fix this. Like I broke something. Like I'm the one who needs to rush in and put the pieces back together. Because I walked away. Rachel's always been Jenna's echo chamber, ready to defend her no matter how bad it got. So I'm not shocked she's jumping in now. But too late. Too late for what? An apology? A marriage that might already be dead? Or something else entirely? Something they're not telling me. I toss my phone face down on the desk and press my fingers to my eyes. I don't know. And honestly, I don't care enough to ask. Let them figure it out. I wasn't ready to talk to Jenna. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But the fallout, that was already starting to show, and not just through her endless voicemails. I started picking up little clues, little whispers that something else was going on. Bigger than just a husband walking out. One guy at work, Chris, mentioned it casually while we were waiting for coffee. Said he tried visiting Jenna's fashion site, and it wouldn't load. Might be down, he said, shrugging like it was nothing. I nodded like I didn't care. But inside, something clicked. Later, I got a voicemail from Jenna. I only half listened before deleting it, but I caught enough. She sounded shaken, voice tight, saying something like, "You can't do this to me. Everything is falling apart." That line stuck with me. I hadn't done anything. I just left. But now I was starting to think, maybe that was enough. She wasn't just angry I was gone. She was afraid. And Rachel's cryptic text, "Fix this before it's too late," was gnawing at the back of my mind. What weren't they telling me? I leaned back in my office chair, staring up at the ceiling tiles. Her panic, the urgency, the way she begged me to come back, it didn't feel like it was just about our marriage. No, this was something else. I got back to the apartment that night around 8, dropped my keys on the counter, cracked open a beer. The place still felt bare. No photos, no decor, just the basics. But it was mine. That was enough. For the first time in days, my phone was quiet. No new calls. No buzzing notifications. And honestly, I almost missed the noise. I sat down, took a slow sip, and let my thoughts drift. Jenna had always been the dreamer, the big-picture person. Her startup was her baby, her ticket to being somebody. I backed her, supported her goals, even when she barely acknowledged mine. But now I was starting to see how much of that dream was built on me, my effort, my sacrifices, my name. So why was she unraveling like this? I set the bottle down a little harder than I meant to, the glass clinking against the table. Ran a hand through my hair and just stood there, pacing. Then it hit me. They don't just want me back. They need me. And it's not about love. It's about what I was holding up. I was so busy focusing on staying gone that I hadn't even thought about everything I'd left behind, all the things Jenna can't do without me. I wasn't ready to call her. Still didn't want to hear her voice. But it was starting to make sense, all of it. This wasn't just emotional wreckage. This was structural, practical. Her world was coming down with me gone. I didn't know every detail yet, but I knew I'd figure it out. Not tonight, though. Tonight, I just sat back with my beer and let the silence speak for me. Let them call, beg, panic. I wasn't going to fix anything for her. But I was going to figure out what she was so scared of. And how I could use that. She wanted to label me the loser? Fine. Let's see how she handles it when the loser starts pulling the strings. 2.5 weeks since I walked out. And today, I finally started taking action. The voicemails from Jenna had gotten more desperate by the hour. Her voice was cracking now. "You can't do this," she sobbed in the last one. "Everything's falling apart. Please, just talk to me." I didn't respond. I just sat on my couch, staring at the wall, sipping lukewarm coffee, letting it all come together in my head. She wasn't talking about our relationship. That thing had been dying a slow death long before the party. No, what she really meant was her brand, her image, the empire she built with my silent support. And now I saw it clearly. I had been the backbone. I was the one who handled the paperwork, the finances, the logistics. While Jenna posted filtered photos and played fashion queen, I was quietly keeping the whole machine running. I paid for her startup's initial funding. I helped with legal paperwork, co-signed on the warehouse lease, even registered her website domain. She used to joke and call me her tech guy, like it was cute. But the truth, I was the foundation. And without me, the whole thing was shaking. So yesterday, I called my lawyer, Sam. He's one of those no BS guys who gets the job done without asking too many questions. I told him I wanted my name off everything. Every business account. Every lease. Every domain. "You sure?" he asked. Calm voice, but I could hear the curiosity. "Yeah," I said. "I'm done." I didn't explain the party, or the cake, or the betrayal. He didn't need to know the details. Just needed to start the process. By the time we hung up, I felt lighter than I had in years. That weight I'd been carrying for so long, I was finally setting it down. The fallout started almost immediately. At work, Chris mentioned Jenna's website had been down for 2 days. "Clients are pissed," he said, scrolling through a forum on his phone. I acted surprised. But I knew why. The domain. Still in my name. I hadn't renewed it. And I hadn't decided if I ever would. The warehouse lease. The payment deadline was coming fast. I wasn't covering it this time. She'd have to deal with that on her own. She probably spent the day calling suppliers, making excuses. But they don't wait when the money stops. I'd already started transferring my share of the business funds into a new account, one she couldn't touch. She didn't know all of it yet. But she was starting to feel the cracks. That's why she was panicking. That's why she wouldn't stop calling. She wasn't just losing a husband. She was losing the man who made her dream possible. I leaned back, sipping cold coffee, and watched it all unfold in my mind. I didn't plan to destroy her. Not at first. I just wanted to be free. But now that I saw how much of her independent empire rested on me, I realized how much control I really had. No yelling. No fights. Just quiet, steady withdrawal. And it was working. Let her squirm. Let her feel what it's like to be the one left behind. She wanted to humiliate me? Cool. Let's see how she handles being powerless. I'm not a monster. I'm not doing this out of hate. But I'm not going to rescue her either. She made her choice when she laughed at me with her friends, and her lover, Kyle, who she thought I didn't suspect. But I did. She thought I'd never leave because I was the safe, loyal option. She was wrong. My phone buzzed again. Another message from her. This one said, "You're ruining me. Please stop." I didn't answer. I wasn't ruining her. I was just stepping away. And now she's realizing that without me, the dream she built was never really hers. "I can't believe you're doing this," she hissed through the phone. "Everything I've built, everything we built, it's all falling apart because of you." I sank back into my couch, staring at the ceiling while she kept ranting. And you know what? She wasn't wrong. Things were falling apart. But it wasn't because of me. It was because of what she did. "You did that," I said calmly, cutting her off mid-sentence. My voice was low, even. "You did that the second you served me a cake with 'Congratulations, loser' written across it like I was your clown for the night." She went quiet. For a moment, all I could hear was her breathing, shallow and uneven, like she was standing in the kitchen, clutching the counter, trying to come up with a way to spin it. "It was a joke," she finally whispered. But even she didn't sound convinced anymore. "You know it was a joke. You're blowing it out of proportion," she added, weaker this time. I gave a cold smile, the kind that has no joy in it. "A joke," I repeated, letting the words sit between us. "You invited everyone we know, had a cake made just to humiliate me in front of them, and laughed. That's not a joke, Jenna. That's you showing me exactly who you are." She didn't say anything, and I didn't rush to fill the silence either. Then her voice cracked, a sound I hadn't heard in years. "You can't just leave like this. I need you. My business needs you." There it was. Not about us. Not about love. Not even a real apology. Just panic, because the man who kept her dream afloat had finally pulled the plug. "I've already started," I told her, leaning forward. "Pulled my name off the accounts. The contracts. The domain. And now you're feeling it." She tried to backpedal fast, stumbling over her words. "It's not what you think. I didn't mean it like that. I messed up, okay? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done it. But you can't just let everything fall apart." I let out a dry laugh. Cold. Sharp. That half-baked apology. That was the closest thing I'd heard to accountability from her in years. And it still wasn't about what she did to me, it was about what was happening to her. "Maybe," I said, "you shouldn't have laughed." Then I hung up. The click of the call ending felt final. Like closing a door I should have locked a long time ago. I tossed the phone onto the couch and just stared ahead. My heart was pounding, but not from nerves. I felt clear. Calm. Free. She didn't call to fight for us. She called because she was scared. Her business was crumbling, and she thought I was the safety rope. And maybe I had been. Once. But not anymore. I'd been slowly pulling out, withdrawing from everything we shared, money, property, digital assets. And she was starting to realize how much of her success had been built on the back of someone she thought she could publicly shame. I wasn't backing down now. I grabbed another beer from the fridge, cracked it open, and started pacing. That call didn't change anything. It just confirmed what I already knew. She's terrified. Because without me, she's got nothing to stand on. And honestly, I don't think she can stand on her own. Not without me propping everything up behind the scenes. Sam, my lawyer, told me the paperwork was almost done. Just a couple more days and I'd be untangled from everything. The accounts, the contracts, the leases, all of it. No more quiet support. No more silent partner. Just gone. I took a long drink, the cold hitting the back of my throat. And I felt calm. Not victorious. Not vengeful. Just done. She'll probably call again. Cry harder. Try guilt. Try nostalgia. But I'm not the guy who folds anymore. I'm the guy who walked out, who hung up, who's not playing her game. She wanted to humiliate me in front of everyone. And now, she's the one watching her world collapse. And I'm the one holding the cards. I don't know how far it'll fall. How much she'll lose before it stops. But I know one thing for damn sure. I'm not the one who's cleaning up this mess. Not this time. A few days after that call, something wild happened. A blog post I'd written a week earlier, just a cathartic vent, started going viral. It was anonymous. No names, no direct accusations. Just the facts, the birthday party, the cake, the laughter, the walkout. I'd sent it to Jake, an old buddy who knows how to get stuff posted online discreetly. I didn't expect anything to come from it. But suddenly, thousands of shares, hundreds of comments. People were reading it, picking it apart, reacting. And the best part? They weren't siding with her. They were furious, for me. Who does that to their husband? One comment said. That's not a joke. That's straight up cruel, another added. Some folks even figured out who it was about. Small town. Connected dots. I didn't intend for it to blow up. I just wanted to get the story out of my head and into the world. But now, the world was watching. And Jenna was panicking. I could tell, because the calls stopped. The begging was replaced with an eerie silence. She wasn't pleading anymore. She was scrambling. The public image she'd polished so carefully, the one full of glitter and curated Instagram filters, was cracking. Yesterday at work, someone asked me if I was doing okay. Said I seemed different. Quieter. Distant. I just smiled and said, I'm good. They don't need the full story. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I can feel it, the shift. I'm no longer the background guy. No longer the husband who fades into the shadows so his wife can shine. No. I'm the one still standing while her world burns to the ground. And it's not even hatred driving me anymore. It's not about revenge. It's just done. I sat down that night, opened my laptop, scrolled through the comments on the blog post again. Some people were brutal. She deserved it. What a psycho. I didn't necessarily disagree. Others were more gentle, saying I should have talked things out, tried harder, gone to therapy. But here's the thing, I did try. 4 years. And in the end, all I got was a cake calling me a loser. This is what finally worked. Letting her face the consequences. Letting the world see the truth I've been burying for years. I closed the screen, leaned back, and shut my eyes. Silence. No buzzing phone. No voice begging for another chance. Just me. Here. In this moment. Steady. Solid. She was unraveling out there. And I was just watching it happen. I didn't start this fire. But I'm sure as hell not putting it out. A few weeks after I walked out, I agreed to meet up with Liv, a mutual friend, but more mine than Jenna's. Liv had always been kind to me, even when Jenna mocked me right in front of her. We met at a quiet coffee shop. The kind where people keep their heads down, focused on their laptops or their lattes. No one was paying attention to us. Liv sat across from me, stirring her drink, clearly trying to find the right words. I've been meaning to check in on you, she said eventually, her voice soft but steady. After everything. I nodded. Took a sip of coffee. Waited. I didn't know what she'd heard. Maybe the blog. Maybe just the town gossip. Then she leaned in, voice low. I heard about the party. And other stuff. From Jenna's side. That got my attention. I put my cup down. Met her eyes. What other stuff? She looked around, as if making sure no one was listening, then sighed. It wasn't just the cake, she said. That was bad, yeah. But she's been talking about you for years. Behind your back. At brunch, parties, girls' nights, whenever you weren't there. My stomach turned. But I didn't interrupt. She used to say things like, you were boring. That marrying you was like getting a company car, dependable, but no one's impressed. That you just paid bills and existed. Liv paused, watching me closely. Waiting for me to react. I didn't. I just sat there, letting the truth settle over me like ash after an explosion. She'd laugh, Liv added. Her friends did too. Especially Rachel. I clenched my jaw, but didn't say a word. I never thought it was funny, she said. I always wondered why you stayed. I leaned back in my chair, looking at the table. I had known Jenna had a sharp tongue. God knows I'd heard it plenty. But hearing that she mocked me, regularly, like it was a party trick, it hit harder than I wanted to admit. Me too, I said quietly. I wondered that too. Liv's eyes softened. I didn't laugh, you know, she said. Not once. I always thought you deserved better. I forced a small smile. Thanks. What else could I say? She was right. I did deserve better. But I hadn't seen it. Not until that cake. I sipped the coffee again. Bitter. Perfectly matched to how I felt inside. All those years I thought I was building something. A life, a family, her dreams. I made the dinners, paid the bills, fixed the house. I funded her damn startup. And she was out there calling me dull. A placeholder. A joke. I pictured her at brunch with a mimosa in hand, tossing out those lines while her friends laughed like it was the funniest thing they'd ever heard. Meanwhile, I was home, thinking if I just kept showing up, kept supporting her, she'd finally see me. What a fool I'd been. I set the coffee cup down harder than I meant to. Liv flinched but didn't comment. Did she ever say anything good? I asked, half joking. Liv shrugged. Not that I heard. It was always about what you weren't. Never about what you were. That one hit like a sucker punch to the ribs. I was steady. Loyal. I made her life possible. And she used me like a prop. And now, that company car she joked about? It was gone. And she had nothing to ride on anymore. She's not laughing now, I said. Liv nodded. I've heard her business is crumbling. Clients pulling out. She's a mess. I didn't respond. Didn't have to. She didn't know I was the one pulling the financial thread that held it all together. Are you okay with that? Liv asked, tilting her head. I looked her in the eyes. Yeah, I said. I am. We sat there quietly for a moment, the clinking of cups and low coffee shop hum filling the space. I thought about Jenna, about how small she must feel now. Her world collapsing. No one to rescue her. Part of me wanted to be angry, to rage at her for every backhanded comment, every betrayal. But the other part, the part that had finally walked away, that part didn't care anymore. She was getting exactly what she earned. You seem different, Liv said after a while. Lighter. Like you're not carrying her weight anymore. I smiled. A real one this time. I'm not. She nodded like she understood. We finished our drinks without saying much else. When we left, she hugged me, quick but firm. Take care of yourself, she said. I will, I told her. Back at my place, I sat on the couch staring at the ceiling. But it wasn't Jenna's calls running through my mind now. It was her voice at those brunches. Those parties. Mocking me. Reliable. Boring. A loser. But that loser built her empire. And now, it's gone. And she's got nothing left to lean on. I didn't feel sorry for her. I felt awake. Like I'd finally stopped lying to myself about who she really was, and who I'd allowed myself to become. I stayed too long. But I wasn't staying anymore. She can keep her laughs. I've got my life back. Everything's falling apart, she sobbed. The business, the clients, everything. And I know you're mad, but please, please don't leave me like this. She was standing in my living room, messy ponytail, puffy red eyes, coat draped over her like a shield she didn't know how to wear anymore, and just falling apart. The same woman I'd spent years trying to keep together. And I felt nothing. Not rage. Not pity. Just a strange, quiet kind of distance. I let her cry. Loud, guttural sobs that racked her body. I gave it a minute. Then I stepped forward, slow and steady, so she had to look up at me. You didn't mean to hurt me, I said, voice calm. Measured. She nodded fast, wiping her face with her sleeve. But I wasn't finished. You meant to humiliate me. Her lips parted like she was going to argue, but I kept going. You stood there, Jenna, surrounded by your friends. And you laughed. You've been laughing at me for years. Liv told me everything. The brunches. The way you called me the boring guy, the company car. You meant it all. She flinched. Like I'd struck her. The panic in her eyes gave her away. That's not, I didn't, she stuttered. But I cut her off. Don't. I know what you said. I know how you think of me. And now? You're only here because you're scared. Because it's all falling apart and you want me to fix it. She didn't deny it. Couldn't. I stepped back, studied her, really looked at her. And she looked small. Not in size. In spirit. In everything. Please, she whispered, reaching out like she might grab my hand. But she dropped it as soon as she saw my face. Don't leave me like this. I can't do it without you. I nodded slowly. I know. She looked up, eyes wide with the faintest flicker of hope. But I'm not leaving you, I said. I already left. Her face fell apart. She crumbled onto the couch, the same one I'd been drinking beer on while her life unraveled, and buried her face in her hands. I didn't move. Didn't comfort her. Didn't sit. I just stood there. And felt light. For the first time in years, the weight of cooking for someone who didn't appreciate it, funding a dream that came with zero credit, being the emotional punching bag, all of it was gone. She cried. Loud at first. Then softer. Eventually, it was just silence and sniffles. Finally, she looked up. Eyes swollen, voice flat. What now? I shrugged. You figure it out. I wasn't being cruel. I was just being honest. Your business. Your mess. It's yours now. I'm done carrying it. She stared at me like she was waiting for me to take it back, to tell her I didn't mean it. But I didn't flinch. I walked to the door. Opened it. You should go. She stood slowly. Her legs unsteady. Paused at the doorway, turned one last time. I'm sorry, she whispered. I said nothing. Just closed the door behind her. I stood there after she left, listening to the quiet, to her footsteps fading down the hall. The apartment felt still again. Come. The hum of the fridge. The faint tick of the wall clock. That was it. I sat on the same couch she had just collapsed into, and felt nothing. Not sadness. Not joy. Just peace. Like I had finally let go of something I didn't even know I was still holding on to. Jenna was gone. For real this time. And she could stay gone. That was months ago. I'm sitting in a new place now, a proper apartment. One with furniture I picked out, not something we argued over in a showroom. Still bare walls, but it's mine. No strings. No shared leases. No joint accounts. Just me. The divorce went through last month. Sam handled it clean and quiet. I didn't fight her for anything more than what was mine. She didn't have the energy to argue. Not after the business went under. Lost clients, bounced payments, her reputation in pieces. Last I heard, she was living with her mom, trying to figure out what to do next. I don't check in. I don't ask. That part of my life. It's over. Work's been good. I'm still crunching numbers, still showing up, but I'm sharper now. Focused. Troy says I've got a spark again. Last week, he pulled me into his office and offered me a small promotion. Better pay. More responsibility. You've been killing it, he said. I took it. No hesitation. It's not even about the money. It's about momentum. About building something that belongs to me. I've started mentoring a couple of new hires. They ask questions, actually listen. And it feels good. Being the guy people look to. Not the guy everyone mocks. Even outside of work, things are better. Liv and I grab coffee sometimes. Jake texts about game nights. I was at a barbecue last weekend, laughing with people who didn't treat me like a joke. There's even someone new. Sarah, from work. Sweet, smart, low-key. We've gone out a couple times. Nothing serious yet. But it's real. It's easy. And for the first time in years, I don't feel invisible. Sometimes, that party still flashes through my mind. Late at night, when the house is quiet. The streamers. The cake. That word, loser. I remember the heat in my face. The silence in my chest when I realized the joke was me. But it doesn't hurt anymore. Not really. It's just a line in the sand now. A before and after. Because that night. That was the moment I stopped being background noise. That was the moment I became the lead in my own story. I'm on the couch now, beer in hand, game on low in the background. My phone buzzes. Jake wants to grab drinks tomorrow. I text back, yeah. I set the phone down. Lean my head back. This space. It's not just quiet. It's mine. I still think about Jenna sometimes. Wonder where she is. But only for a second. It passes. I heard she's trying to rebuild. Good for her. But she's not my problem anymore. I get up. Walk to the window. Look out over the city lights. It's late. The streets below glowing like veins. I think about the man I used to be. The one who cooked dinners she didn't eat. Paid bills she didn't notice. Propped up dreams she didn't respect. I stayed too long. Took too much. But I'm not mad about it now. It brought me here. Out of her shadow. Back into my own skin. I sit down again. Kick my feet up. Take a sip of beer. It's cold. And it tastes like clarity. I'm not the loser she thought I was. I never was. I was just the guy who forgot who he was, until I didn't. No. I'm not playing her game. I'm playing my own. And that's more than enough. Thank you for visited my YouTube channel. Your support, likes, and comments truly inspire me to create even more engaging content. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. You're a part of this amazing community, and I'm thrilled to share my stories with you. See you in the next video on YouTube.